Hi, I'm back again. Today's review is going to be on a Nigerian novel. The title is The Secret Lives of Baba Segi's Wives. It was written by Lola Shoneyin, and Lola Shoneyin is a very, very wonderful writer. She really brings her characters to life. She's also a poet. She's a poet as well, and she she's often classed in the feminist mode. Like, her characters are usually like in the feminist mode, and it's really, really amazing the way she writes. Though it's really, really awesome. And this book came out in 2010, and I didn't read it until a few days ago. I didn't know this book was so good. Like, if I had any idea about this book, I would have read it a long time ago. I had no idea. This book was so awesome, and it was a recommendation. So you could give your own recommendations of books you'd like me to make a review on. So let's get into it. The Secret Lives of Baba Segi's Wives. Let's talk about the characters now. Baba Segi, who is the main lead in the book, right? He's the husband to 4 wives. He has 4 wives. This book is set in Nigeria, so yes, there was a time when getting married to 4, 5, 6 wives was not such a very big deal. It was quite normal. So just go along with it. He has 4 wives, right? The first wife is Segi. The second wife is Tokwe. The third wife is Femi. And the fifth and last wife is Bolanle. Now, the reason why we refer to the other wives as this, that is because women in Nigeria basically are referred to by the names of their first child. For instance, if your name is Anne and you have a child and you call the child maybe Doyin, you'll be referred to as Doyin, which is like the mother of Doyin. So your name stops being your name and you just get referred to as the mother of Doyin. So Doyin. So basically, that's what the whole Iyasegi is all about. So we're not going to be using their actual names. We're going to be using their character names, which is the Iyasegi, Iyatokwe, Iyafemi, and Bolanle, who doesn't have any children. Bolanle is the last wife, right? And she is like the center of the plot. She unveils, she's like the reason why everything is unveiled in the book. She's the reason why the entire truth of the family comes out. Because the family might look happy to you, because when the book begins, you see them, Baba Segi coming in, the children greeting him, sitting down on the chair, all the wives surrounding him and everything. It looks like one very big, happy family. It really was not. There were a lot of secrets and deceptions going on, and you wouldn't notice all this except you understand. You read further into the book, then you begin to understand a lot of things. So the book opens up with a seemingly happy polygamous family, but they're not happy. When you read further into the book, you realize none of them are really happy. They're just making the best of the situations they find themselves in. Bolanle got married to Baba Segi, let's say a few months ago, she's like 4 or 5 months into her marriage, and no child, no pregnancy, no anything. And Baba Segi is this old school, illiterate kind of man who believes that it is the wife's duty to produce children. So if the wife cannot produce children, obviously something is not wrong with him, something must be wrong with her. You understand? So he tells her, okay, you know what? Look, we're going to have to look for a solution to this problem. You cannot be in my house and be childless, right? And she goes, okay, you know what? I'm educated. I'm not going to take some herbs, that I don't know where you guys got it from, or bath with something I don't understand, You get, because he was like, they should go, to a traditional herbalist and whatnot. And she was like, I'm not doing herbalist shit with you. I'm going to the hospital. Okay, I'm educated, I have a certificate, I'm going to use it. So I'm going to the hospital, I'm not wasting time. So she goes to the hospital, right? And the hospital tells her, okay, if we're going to do anything like fertility checks and whatnot, it's not just you, you're married. we need to see your husband as well. So she needs to go back home and tell him, you understand, like, you need to come to the hospital. So you get, this is like how the entire thing is just going down in the book. Like it all starts up from the fact that Bolanle cannot have a child. You understand? That is where like the main storyline comes from, like the fact that she cannot have a child. Which, if you're reading the book or listening to me, you might find it weird because you'll be like, oh, all the other wives have children, so why doesn't she have children? Let's get into it, shall we? I'm not going to give you like very crazy spoilers, but to be very honest with you, none of the children are for the man. So you can go into the book knowing that, so that it makes the comedy makes more sense to you. But that is not just like the thing about the entire book. Like there was also this little rivalries that were created by the wives and instilled in the children, like because Segi was the first wife and she didn't really like the idea of the man bringing in other wives into the house. But she's the first wife, so and the husband is the head of the home. She has to put up with it. She's like, okay, fine, cool, no problem. But I'm the one who's going to be the one distributing provisions in this house. I'm the one who's going to distribute everything that everybody needs in this house. You have to come to me for whatever you need. I'll get it from my husband, but the rest of you who are the wives, you get your shit from me. You cannot get it from any other person apart from me. So that was what was going on. So she was like, when the husband was in home, she was like the lord and the master of everybody in the house. She was the only one who was allowed to have a business, like have her own business that she runs, a shop. No other person was allowed to have one. Okay, she was the only person allowed to have one. No other person was allowed to have one. You understand? And then we have Iyatope was her father married her off to Baba Segi when she was young, but she wasn't so young. Like she was like 20 or so when she got married to Baba Segi, but she was a little retarded. I don't want to use the word retarded like in a bad way, but like she was a little slow to understanding stuff. She was a little slow. So, she gets married to the man because her father says, okay, get married to the man because the man brought business to her dad and all. And, the dad was like, okay, you can have one of my daughter's name in return for all the good you've done for me. So that was basically Iyatope's case. And then Iyafemi comes in. She came in at a time when she ran away from. Iyafemi was okay, but right from when she was younger, Iyafemi went through a lot as well. Because her parents died and her uncle came, took over the house with his wife and every other thing, and then sent her to go work for one lady in the city. And then the lady, would maltreat her and treat her anyhow. And the lady's son started sleeping with her, So she gets pregnant. She looks at it and says, okay, I can't continue staying here. I'm putting up with this shit. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. So she decides to run away. And then while she's, making plans for running away, she meets Papa Segi. You understand? And because she meets Papa Segi and realizes that, Papa Segi is kind of well-to-do. And it's quite okay. You understand? It doesn't matter if he has other wives. It's fine. I can also move in. You understand? Like she saw him as like a way out of her situation. And so she got married to him. She got married to him as well, so she enters the house and becomes the third wife. And then there was Bolanle. Bolanle also had her own trauma. I'm not going to talk about it because I think Bolanle's story is one you really, really want to read and understand where she was coming from. Let's just say she had her own trauma and she saw Baba Segi as a way out. You understand? Like, okay, I can't do much apart from just this is the only way out for me. Like, that was the only way she could save herself. So she saw Baba Segi as a way out and she decides, I'm just going to marry him. I know he has other wives. Even her Bolanle's family was against her getting married, but she was like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to marry because that's my only way out of the situation. So she does. So she gets married to Baba Segi and, we get in. Now we understand where the story is coming from and everything. So I think I've covered like basically everybody, all the characters in the book, and I think I've explained where some of the characters are coming from. but I wouldn't spoil it too much for you so that you have the opportunity to like read it and understand it and love it the way I do, because it was really, really amazing. But I'm just gonna give a few quotes. The first quote comes a few quotes from the book, and the first quote comes from Segi, and she goes, "Men are nothing. They are fools. The pennies between their legs is all they are useful for. And even then, if not that women needed their seed for children, it would be better to sit on a finger of a green plantain. Listen to my words. Only a foolish woman leans heavily on a man's promises." That was our first quote. Like, Iyasegi did not like women. It's not women, sorry. Like, she didn't like men for any reason. So that quote is one quote that really, really stayed with me a lot from the book. So you'd understand. And then she goes on to further say later on in the book, she says, "That is how I started my business, and that is how I learned to drive. Men are like yam. You cut them how you like." That was the next quote from her. That really, really, that quote, this particular one really stayed with me. Like, it showed you the level of deception and the level of the way she thinks. It tells you a lot about her thought process. And then this one, it wasn't really so much as a quote as an entire scene. So I'm just going to read it to you, because this was where Iyasegi is talking to Iyatokwe. I think you really love this one. It goes, "Last week, our husband asked me if you were sick. He said there was a bad smell in your room." She looked around suspiciously, as if something catching would jump out of the walls. She goes on to say, "I will not let you destroy this home with your excesses. You have allowed the concubine to become the husband. I have not known anyone to worship a penis the way you do." She stopped to take a long breath. "Listen carefully to what I have to say, because if I am forced to say it again, it will be wedged between curses. You will not see this man again. You are like a child who has not developed the temperament for secrets. You are lucky we have a husband who believes he is more than all women and most men. If he were more discerning, more like a woman, say, he would have seen through your madness. And anyway, a new wife is coming, so brace yourself. I just hope she has some sense in her head." And that was where that one ended. I will not tell you where, but if you read the book, you get where all this. I just want you to get interested in the book, because those quotes like really, really got me interested in the book. And then this quote from Baba Segi himself. He says, "Before you go, child, I have some words for you." Baba Segi started abruptly, his eyes unnaturally eager. "Keep these words in your left hand, lest you wash them away after eating with your right. When the time comes for you to marry, take one wife and one wife alone. And when she causes you pain, as all women do, remember that it is better that your pain comes from one source alone. Listen to your wife's words and listen to the words she doesn't speak, so that you will be prepared. A man must always be prepared." You wouldn't understand where that last quote came from until you read the book, but let's just take it and say, Papa Segi really went through it. He really went through it, but part of the reason why he went through it was kind of like his fault, but he did go through it. So yeah, he went through it a lot. But anyway, so I think I've been able to like get you interested in the book a little bit. I think you can find the book online, and if you need any place to get it, I have a Telegram page as well. So just let me know on Twitter if you're interested in getting the book to read, and I would help you get the book to read. So that will be all for today. Thank you. Have a great time till next week.